Hello, today I'm going to go over a very simplistic push-pull legs routine with bands. This is obviously going to just be for basic athleticism. You can progress on it, but you're not going to be able to track your weight in it, everything, because you're using tension. Unless you have literally 10 bands like I do, then you can kind of track progression based on the bands that you switch to. So we're going to start with our push day, which is going to be bench press. Actually, we're going to start with the bench press. Get the band behind you, get your hands into the band, make sure you have roughly equal tension on each side. If you feel one side having more, just take a moment and get it right. And with this, you're literally just going to bench press. And with this, you're always going to bring it a little bit in. You're not going to have a straight pathing like using a barbell. Plus, you want a little bit more chest activation. You can, so that's how to mimic a barbell bench press. So that's our chest. And then for our shoulders, we're going to once again step in the band. And you're going to use your knees as a guide to make sure you have roughly equal tension on both sides. And when the band's set, what you want to do is roll it forward once, get underneath it, and stand up with it. If you find you're a little wide, you can bring it back down, bring your hand just a bit closer, make sure you're using your knees as a guide. You have roughly equal tension on both sides, and once again, get a little bit of a tighter positioning. And with this, you're going to perform a shoulder press, an overhead press. Something I want to show quickly with the shoulder press, when you're performing this, you want to make sure that you're pushing up and a little bit back. You don't want to be going like this, up and back. Okay. So we've gone over our push day, and then we also have triceps. So you're going to have to perform something like this for tricep kickbacks. And then for the long head of the tricep, you can bring the band overhead. If you're taller, it may pull harder, so make sure you're not letting it pull you back. Make sure your core is tight. If you have a posterior pelvic tilt here, you're going to feel it. And then you want to go ahead and, with this, you're trying to throw it forward, keeping a bend in the elbows. You're not bringing the elbows like this. You want to keep them like this. And with this, you're not just going straight up and down. You want to throw it forward. Not super forward, but that's the mental cueing for it. So that goes over our push day, our bench, our overhead press, and our triceps. There's other variations you can do, but this is simplistic. And then we're going to have our pull day. With our pull day, we're going to probably start with a row or traps. So just to show you traps, there's two different ways you can do this. Get the band running like this, get it on the floor, step on the band, and with this, you create handles on each side. Take a moment to make sure you have nearly equal tension on both sides, and with this, you can perform traps. If you want to turn it into a row, it gives you the handles to row. Now, a different way of doing it is just taking the band like this, stepping on one part of the band, and going like this. Just actually grabbing a single part of the band. And it can be done with the triceps. It can be done with the traps and with rows. Another form of row. You can do it seated on the ground, but because my camera is too high, I'm going to show you up here. Okay. And with this, we're going to be basically mimicking a cable row. So we could go like this, just having this portion of the band running like this. And you can go ahead and perform some rows. You lose a lot of tension at the end range of motion. You can increase it if you'd like with a different band or by changing hand placement. Or you can do it as we did the other way. Put the band like this in the middle of your feet. So once again, you create handles on each side. And with this, the band is in the middle of your foot. Even if you have shoes on or off, the band really should never come back at you. Unless you like bring your feet like this or something, I don't know. But just don't do that. So with this, you can create handles, and once again, row. So we've gone over our traps and our rows. You can change them up just with some of the information I gave. Now we're going to do some biceps. My recommendation is to perform a barbell mimic. Get your feet a little bit wide on the band so you have the loop. Once again, using your knees as a guide. Get it slightly over shoulder length, and then you can perform a bicep curl. I just finished back in bicep day, so obviously I'm going to look pumped. Okay, so another way of doing this is a little harder, but it's creating handles again. So I'm going to use a lighter band because I've already finished biceps today. Alright. And with this, you want to make sure the band is once again in the middle, where you want the barbell pathing for a squat to be. This is where you want the band to run under your feet. Okay? So once again, you want to make sure this one really has equal tension. Going like this, I can see this side's a little bit loose. Fix the feet. And now you can see they're equal. What I'm going to do is set myself up for a bicep curl. And this is a lot of tension. Okay, so just give you a side view. And once again, we're going to make sure we have equal tension on both sides. Alright. And I'm using my lightest band, and I can easily curl 100 pounds. So this is not something that's meant to be done heavy. You want to focus on form and actually performing the rep appropriately with the proper form. So we've gone over our rows, traps, and biceps for pull, or push and pull. For legs, we're going to get a heavier band. And we're going to start out with two different squat mimic techniques. So the first one is I don't think anybody else is going to like to perform this. What you're going to do is put your neck in the band, get it on your shoulders, and you want to just take a moment, make sure there's equal tension, and then you can squat with the band. You'll lose a lot of tension at the bottom range of motion, and I don't actually think it's the optimal way of squatting with a band. So what I'm going to show you is something a bit different. What I'm about to show you should have technically higher quad activation. Okay, so what we're going to do is mimic a front bar squat. Once again, we're going to set ourselves up like we're going to set up ourselves up for an overhead press. Exact same way. Let the band pull your hands. It actually will help train your mental cueing for your hands and your arms, and then you can front squat it. This is not going to be optimal because of the amount of tension lost at the bottom range of motion, and because you always kind of get a lean forward, or maybe I do. Okay. So that's one of those two different ways of doing squats with bands, and a very simplistic way. Zercher squats. Once again, you're going to lose a huge amount of tension at the bottom range of motion. So, now we're going to go to deadlifts. With this, if your goal is just traditional weightlifting, you just want to mimic a normal barbell rack pull or deadlift. So we set ourselves up with handles on each side. I'm hoping to God you can see that. And we're going to deadlift it. Now, you can change the way you do this. You can do a traditional deadlift, or you can do a stiff-legged, get more tension on that quad, on the hamstrings and glute. Okay? For those looking for a lot of glute activation, I'm going to actually recommend a close stance, stiff-legged deadlift. The reason why is because you're basically just performing what is called a moon pose, but you get such great activation. Make sure your feet are close together. Make sure you're not breaking form. And you can really feel tightness in the glutes. So that's one way of doing deadlifts. A simpler, more easier way is just having the band looped like this. Get our feet in it. And now make sure you have roughly equal tension on both sides. And you can just deadlift it this way. It's a bit lighter. Alright, so we've gone over our squat and deadlifts for legs. There is no way of hitting the calves with bands. If you have a band set up on your shoulders or holding it, when you lift up, you're going to reduce tension in the band, so you're not working out the calves. Same thing goes with seated. The most easiest way of working out the calves at home. Generally, most people won't even be able to do this, but this is for soleus, seated. You want to just lean yourself forward. And using your body weight, you want to actually focus on contracting. Once you get stronger, you could hold dumbbells and do this, or you could just do it seated with barbell or dumbbells on your knees. And then standing as well. And with these, your main goal for calves is to lean and let the elastic energy in the tendon dissipate so you can actually contract the muscle versus just bouncing off a tendon. Versus bouncing off a tendon. So we've gone over a very simplistic push-pull and legs routine. Sorry the video is 13 minutes, but that's it, that's all. How you structure it, push-pull legs. That's about it. I'm going to go ahead and do another video after this. Thank you for watching. Bye.